It's TheGIBBYNATR, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you how you can get more headshots faster in Call of Duty Black Ops 4. I'm going to be breaking it down into 5 simple categories. We've got the skills you need to develop, the game modes you want to be playing, the class setups you want to be using, specialists, and then finally controller settings. I'm going to be giving you really good tips on how you can improve at Call of Duty in general, as well as being able to get loads more headshots so you can unlock those really nice camos that we've got in Black Ops 4. Before we get into the video, leave me a comment down below, let me know how many guns you've already got gold. So when going for headshots, the first thing you need to master is how you create your class setups. These class setups have got to be perfectly engineered for headshots so that it makes it as easy as possible to get them. The first thing to consider when creating your classes is the attachments. Now, the first attachment that you always want to be using when possible, I know Black Ops 4 is a bit weird where you can't use the same attachments on every gun and not all of the assault rifles have high caliber, but where you can use high caliber, you really need to be using it. High caliber will make it a lot less bullets to kill when you're aiming at the head, meaning that getting headshots is going to be a hell of a lot easier, and you're easily going to be able to just aim for the head and absolutely melt people in around like 2 to 3 bullets, which is a lot less than when you shoot them in the body and then gradually going up towards the head. The other attachments that you use are mostly personal preference, but that doesn't mean that there aren't some attachments that you can use that are going to help you get those headshots. For example, reflex sight, extended mags, rapid fire, quick draw, they're all attachments that are going to help you get headshots. For example, quick draw, that's going to allow you to aim at the person before they aim at you, making it more likely that you're going to get the kill, you're going to get first shots on, so you're more likely to get that headshot. There's nothing worse than shooting someone in the head, but because they shot you first, you don't get that headshot, unfortunately. There's also extended mag, so you can be aiming at the person's head, and if you don't have the best accuracy yet, it means that you can kind of spray a little bit and have the insurance of those extra bullets in your mags with the extended mags. Using a red dot sight will just make it a lot easier to actually aim for the head. It will make your sights a lot cleaner. Some of the iron sights in Black Ops 4 are a bit messy and hard to kind of see what you're aiming at, so if you are using one of those guns that doesn't have very nice iron sights, definitely put on a red dot. It's going to help you out a lot. Or if you like any of the other like sights, like the holographic sight for example, you could use that. The two last attachments that I like using for headshots are the suppressor and rapid fire. Now, suppressor's a really good one. Not a lot of people think about it, but when you're shooting people in the head, if you come up behind a load of people and you're literally like behind the whole enemy team, you can line up one headshot, but if you're not using a silencer, everyone's going to know where you are straight away. They're just going to look at their minimap and be like, oh crap, there's a kid behind us. But if you get that one headshot with a silencer on, the other team, they're just clueless of where you are, so you can get even more headshots. And that's how I like to go around getting headshots, is just flanking the enemy, and I'll talk more about how you can get good at that in this video. And the rapid fire is going to help you because it's actually going to add recoil to your gun. Now, that's kind of counterintuitive. Most people don't want to add recoil to their gun, but if you're aiming at the upper chest of the enemy and you get that little bit of recoil from the rapid fire, that can literally make the difference between getting a headshot and not getting one. So what I recommend is using that rapid fire, aiming slightly higher, and you just allow the recoil of the gun to naturally give you a headshot. It's just a really nice simple way of getting headshots, and you barely even have to think about doing it. The next thing to consider when designing your class setup is the perks. Now, I mostly use the stealth perks with one exception of Gung Ho. Gung Ho is so goddamn good in Black Ops 4. It actually reduces the sprint out time, meaning that when you use it, it means you can shoot like after sprinting a lot sooner than when you're not using the perk. So that means you can get first shots on the enemy before they can shoot you, which is really vital because that can literally be the difference between you killing them and getting a headshot and not getting it. If you're getting the first bullets on, you're definitely more likely to get the kill than if you don't and they get the first shots on. So definitely recommend using Gung Ho on all of your classes, no matter whether you're going for headshots or not. The next thing to consider is the stealth perks. Now, the stealth perks are so critical for getting headshots. You can be using Ghost, Cold Blooded, and Dead Silence, and these are really going to go well with the silencer that I mentioned before. This is going to allow you to flank and be like a complete ninja. The enemies aren't going to know where you are. Ghost is the most important one because they're not going to be able to see on the minimap. So when the enemies get UAVs and you're behind their whole team, you can easily just line up those headshots and they won't have a clue that you're there when they have UAVs up, which is sick. The other perk, Dead Silence, that's also going to help in that situation because they're not going to be able to sound whore you. Like as you saw in the intro clip, I literally came up behind that whole team and just like lined up loads of headshots. So simple to get headshots. If you've got Dead Silence on, there's no chance that any of them are going to hear you. And then Cold Blooded, I just like to run that so like trip mines don't blow up on ya, and like annoying score streaks don't kill ya, or like the dog, when the dog kills you when you're behind loads of people. That is the most annoying thing ever. So you can literally just stop that from ever happening by running Cold Blooded. The next thing to consider on your class setup is the type of gear you're using. Now I'd recommend you use the body armor or the stim shot. The stim shot is preferable just because the body armor is annoying, but they're both going to allow you to like stay alive and get those headshots more easily. Body armor is more like your first gunfight you get into. It's going to make it easier to get a headshot, but once it's gone out, it's kind of useless in my opinion. So I would recommend using the stim shot. That's just going to allow you to stay alive for longer, regen your health more frequently, so you can run away and like get multiple kills, so you can get more headshots in one life instead of just dying all the time, which is really annoying. Another thing that you consider with the class setup is using stun or concussion grenades. They're really OP in Black Ops 4 and they're very helpful for getting headshots. If you throw a stun into a room, you're literally just going to completely wipe out the other enemies' screens. They won't be able to see what's happening in the game, and you can just come along, easily line up those headshots. Very simple way to get headshots. I find it annoying when people do it to me, but I'm not going to lie, it is a very good method for getting headshots. And then the final thing is score streaks. You want to be using non-lethal score streaks like your UAV, counter UAV, because they're not going to get any kills and they're going to tell you where the enemies are. So the UAV is literally just going to tell you where the enemies are camping, where they are on the mini-map, where they are on the map, sorry, so you can easily flank them, come up behind them, line up those headshots and just be ready. There's nothing better than being ready and knowing where the enemies are for certain, because you can line up your headshots perfectly before they're even there. And counter UAVs are obviously really helpful because it literally means that the enemies no longer can see you on the mini-map, so you can easily flank people, as I've said already a million times. As you can like tell, it's just about flanking people, getting headshots, so you're just shooting people in the back of the head and it's really simple. The next category of things we're going to talk about is specialists. Now your specialist is really important and can be really helpful in getting those headshots. So I would recommend you either use Recon or you use Crash. Now Recon's going to give you vision pulse, so you're going to be able to see people through walls, which is really helpful because obviously if you can see people running towards you, you can just aim to where their head will be in a couple seconds and they're going to walk straight into your sights, so you can get easy headshots. It'll also allow you to come behind the enemy team again, like you can pull off some really good flanks with vision pulse and just know where they all are, and that extra map awareness that that's giving you will easily allow you to get some like very nice headshots. And even like the clips I got in the start, like just like really big feeds with headshots in, which is just a really satisfying feeling. The other specialist is Crash. Now Crash actually gives all of your teammates extra health as well as you. It will give you 200 health. It's essentially like giving you 50 armor, and what that's going to do is just allow you to stay alive a bit longer in your gunfights, allowing you to actually aim for the head and just give you a bit more time with your gunfight so you can focus more on your accuracy instead of rushing just trying to get the kills. The next category of things to think about is game modes. Now the game mode I like the most is Control. Control involves two flags where the enemy either has to protect those flags or capture them, and when it's on the capture side, literally all of the enemies are just going to be running to these flags, and especially when they capture one of the flags and then they all have to go to the next flag, you can pull off some really nice easy like feeds as well as headshots, because their whole team gets on this little flag, this little zone, and you can just come up behind them and line up easy headshots on people that aren't even looking at you. It's honestly the easiest way to get headshots in my opinion. But then again, free for all is another really easy one. You get a lot of like dodgy spawns in free for all, so you can kind of just hold down areas, kind of aim down corridors at head height and get a lot of nice free headshots. And there's also a lot of clueless people in free for all I find, and they're literally just running around like headless chickens, and you can come up behind them and get them like headshots on them. I just find a lot of noobs play free for all, but then they're probably the easiest mode actually. Instead of playing Control, if you have bad accuracy, Control isn't going to be the mode for you, but you can play hardcore modes. You can even play hardcore TDM, hardcore domination. Domination is probably the one you want to play because you're going to find a load of enemies on flags which you can easily line headshots on. So yeah, in hardcore it's only like a 1 bullet kill if you're using like assault rifles, and it's just a very reduced health. So that means that you can just have to line up your headshot, and all you have to do is put 1 bullet in their head, and that's a free headshot. So as you can imagine, you can stack up a lot of headshots in hardcore just by simply getting your aim on point and just shooting literally 1 bullet. That's all you have to do, just line up your gun, bam, headshot. Easy as it can get, boys. Moving on to the second to last thing to consider is your controller settings. Now this is a very important thing to think about. So the first thing I want you to do is turn off controller vibration. Vibration is going to be throwing your aim off by little, like a minuscule amount, but it could be the difference between hitting a headshot and not. So I definitely recommend turning it off, because when your controller's vibrating everywhere, that's making your thumb shake all over the place. And you don't really realise it, but I mean, as I say, it's just a little bit, but that little bit could be the difference between you aiming on someone's head and then shaking off it and missing a headshot by like a millimetre. But like, if you can just get that down, there's easy headshots right there just by a simple change of your controller settings. And the next thing I want you to do is use a lower sensitivity. Obviously you're aiming for the smallest target on the enemy, which is their head, so you need to be very in control of your sensitivity. A lot of people are playing on like max sensitivity and stuff, but controlling those really small movements between going from the upper chest to the head is pretty hard on a high sensitivity. I use around a 10 sensitivity, but I would still recommend, like when I go for headshots, I bump it down a little bit just to make sure that I can be in control of where I'm aiming and just really easily get those headshots. The last thing I want you to do to your settings is use stick and move. That's if you don't play claw or use a scuff controller. So what stick and moves are going to allow you to do is jump shot without having to take your thumb off of the right stick, so you can still have good accuracy whilst jumping. What that's going to enable you to do is aim at people's chests as normal and then jump as you're shooting while still maintaining your aim, and that's going to rise your sights up to the enemy's head, so you can easily get free headshots just by simply aiming at the chest all the time and then jump shotting. Going to give you easy headshots. Really simple one to get used to doing, and very helpful I've found in my experience. The last category of tips we're going to be looking at is just the actual Call of Duty skills that you need to develop to be able to get these headshots. The first major thing is centering. What centering is where you get the crosshairs, which are those 4 little dashes on your screen which are always there when you're not aiming down sights. You want to get into the habit of lining them up with the enemy's head. So you want to be walking around and like running around with those at head height. That's going to make it so that you can simply snap onto the enemy and shoot them in the head first try, and it's just going to be a lot easier than zooming into their chest and then aiming up. You'll just zoom in and you'll already be at head height. It's also very helpful for when you like pre-aiming corners, because it's going to mean you're pre-aiming higher, so people are just going to walk into your gun and you're going to be shooting them in the head, which is just easily going to allow you to stack up those headshots. Now if you're using really high recoil guns, for example like the SOG, you probably want to be centering your gun to around like the upper chest so that the recoil is going to go up to the head. But if you're using a gun like the ICR, then probably just aim at head height, and that gun literally has no recoil, so you're just going to be laser beaming kids in the head. The next thing to think about is when you see AFK kids that aren't playing, they're just standing still, just program yourself to line up headshots, because it's surprising how many headshots you can get when you just come up to people that aren't even playing the game and just shoot them in the head. A lot of people don't think about that. They think, oh, there's a person, I'm going to react to it and just shoot them in the body and get myself a kill. But you can be smart about it and slow down and just line up that headshot and get a free headshot, which is really nice and easy. The next thing is also when, as I said, like when you're coming up behind people, don't panic, line up their headshots. Like a lot of people, they are such reactive players, they see someone and they shoot it, but you can be a lot smarter about it. When you see them, think, oh, can they see me? If they can't see you, aim for their head and take your time, just line up the shots and get free headshots. It's so simple. And then but the thing with these tips is if you don't have basic Call of Duty skill, they're pretty hard to implement. So the first thing you should be focusing on is just like playing against bots and just getting it to the point where you can really rely on your accuracy being good, and then it's pretty much as simple as just aiming a bit higher and headshots aren't even a problem. Like that's where I've got to the point with my Call of Duty skill. I know that I'm good enough to hit people in the chest, so I can just aim a little bit higher and shoot them in the head, and headshots become one of the easiest things ever, and they shouldn't even need videos to be made on them. But I want to support all you guys that aren't the best players and are trying to improve, because I was at your point once as well. I used to be like pretty bad low KD, like 1 KDs and that, but I eventually just grinded, got like just practiced the game day in, day out, and then got to the point where I'm now sitting at like 3.54 KD, where I can get nuclears, headshots, I can do anything that I want in Call of Duty and have a great time. But yeah, if you did find this video helpful, be sure to drop a like. Let me know down below which tip you found most helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see the best tips and trick videos, and I will see you in the next video, lads. Peace.